Hello everybody, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going over the pattern tutorial for my denim daze top that I had made. So there's going to be a couple of measurements you want to take. On the dress figure there are 4 lines in pink, and those are the measurements that you're going to want to take. I am starting off first with the top bodice. When you are taking your measurements, take the full circumference of your body and then just divide it by 4 so you can get 4 equal halves. So I already made a pattern block, but in this I'm just showing you how to make the pattern for this shirt from scratch. So the first measurement I'm starting with is the upper chest, and so for me I'm doing the halves, and so I can just mirror my pattern. So 1/4 of my measurements was 8 7/8 inches. So that's what I'm going to start with. And the length of the shirt, I wanted it 5 inches, so then I'm going to draw a line 5 inches down. Next, I'm drawing the line that comes under the breast, and so for me that was 8.5 inches. If you want to, you don't have to. You can also take a measurement for like the mid chest if the size is like a difference, like a big difference, but for me that wasn't needed. So then I'm just drawing the top line to connect to the bottom line. And now I'm just marking my center front for the top bodice. When you make your dart, you want to make it 1/2 inch wide. This is just what it was when I made my original bodice block. So mine is 1/4 on either side, and I made it 1.5 inches up. The location of it is just going to be where your center point of your breast hits, and that's just the location where you want to make your dart. I drew my seam allowances in a 1/2 inch each, and you just need it on those 3 sides because in the middle it's your center front, so you're going to cut that on the fold. Next, mark where you want your strap to be. I just marked it with a dot. And now you can go ahead and cut out your pattern. What I'm making next is the back piece. The width of the top is going to be the same as it was for the front. So once again, for me, that was 8 7/8 inches. And where it's going to connect in the center, I'm making that 2.5 inches. And I will be adding buttonholes, and that's how the top is going to close in the back. And don't forget to add your seam allowances. I'm adding mine's in, and they're at 1/2 inch. You're going to need seam allowances at the top, on the left and the right. I forgot to draw it in this video, but don't forget to add it to the left as well. So now I'm going to draw in for the buttonholes. Basically, I want one side of the shirt to overlap the other one by 1/2 inch. So for the pattern, I am adding 3/4 inches in now, and then so one side I'm going to cut with that extra 3/4 inches, and then the other one I'm going to cut where I had originally drawn it in. And I messed up a little bit on the pattern, so ignore the buttonholes that I just drew in, but I ended up making the right pattern piece for the back. That one doesn't have the extra 3/4 inch, so that one's the like regular length that I wanted. And then so the 3/4 inch I just added because I wanted it to slightly overlap. And basically, from when you add your 3/4 inches going to like the left, you want to mark 1/2 inch back, and that's where I put my buttonholes. I don't know if that makes complete sense. It's kind of hard to explain. But essentially, I would just go ahead and make it the length that you need it. And then add the extra 3/4 inches. And then from the 3/4 inches, 1/2 inches over to the left, I would go ahead and add the buttons. And then on the pattern piece for the right side, measure 1/2 inch over there, and that's the placement for where, like, that's going to be your buttonholes. And then for the left, it's just like the buttons. It's hard to explain, but that's essentially what I did. Now you can go ahead and cut out your pattern. The next piece I'm working on is the facing for the front bodice. And so what you're going to do, you're going to take the measurement that you have been using for the upper chest. And so mine's again is 8 7/8 inches. And then you're going to just draw however long you want it down. I drew mine's in at 3 inches down. And I'm just adding my seam allowances on the top and the side. And for the bottom, I serged my top and I trimmed off about 1/2 inch. So it just kind of depends how you want to like finish the facing, but that's essentially what I did. And then you're going to cut it on the fold. Okay, so now it's time to create the ruffle. So this is technically like the bottom portion now, the top. So for the ruffle, the length can really be whatever you want it to be. But I just made mine the width of what my measurement was for the under bust. So it was 8.5 inches. And essentially I'm creating the ruffles at the same time. So the length of my ruffles are 5.5 inches. And then so for the top ruffle, I just made it half of that. And I want to make sure that I have seam allowance for both. And basically you're just going to cut one including the seam allowances, and then the second one you just want to cut all the way. And so here I'm explaining how I slash and I spread the pattern. So I just found the center of the length or like of the width of the ruffle. I just cut it in half, not all the way through, but just to the very point, and then I spread it in half and just added extra paper in between. And then I slashed it again. I don't know if this is technically the right way to do it, but I just slashed it again to give myself a little bit more room, and that's how I got the curve shape to it. But that's how I started off. And then you're gonna cut the left side on the fold. As you can see, I wrote that in, and I'm just showing what the top ruffle and what the bottom ruffle look like. Next, I'm creating the pattern piece for the elastic casing. You want to take your back measurement. Once again, we're working in fourths, so just 1/4 of your back measurement. And draw that for the width of it. And then for the length, my elastic was 1 inch wide. So the overall length of it, I made it 3 inches. And now I'm just drawing in the seam allowances, and so they're both at 1/2 inches. And so essentially for me, like I was folding it in half, like I was folding it over. So like since my elastic was 1 inch, it's like 1 inch and then fold another inch so it can cover, and then like the 1/2 inches obviously are just for my seam allowances, like I said. And there's different ways to attach your elastic casing, but yeah, that's pretty much the last step. You can also make your strap. So the strap lengths, they just vary depending on your size and everything, and what's comfortable for you or how you want to even make the straps. So I'm not including that in, but yeah, so that's the last piece, and that brings me to the end of this video. Sorry if it was a little confusing. I'm still working on how to best explain the patterns for you guys, but thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.